Okay, you're going to be simplifying exponents. And scientific notation. And I want you to use your notes today while you're doing this study guide, okay? So yesterday we talked about simplifying exponents, and that if you had a base raised to a power times the same base raised to a power, that in order to simplify this, you just add the exponents and you keep the base the same. So in this case, the simplest form of this expression would be 8 raised to the 8th power. It's that simple. What I don't think we talked about yesterday was if you have a base all right, in this case you have negative 5 raised to the 7th times negative 5 raised to the negative 7th. The bases are the same, so you're going to add the powers. Now look what happens here. You get negative 5 as your same base, and you get 7 plus negative 7. 7 plus negative 7 is equal to 0. So this is negative 5 to the 0 power. But anything raised to the 0 power is equal to 1. Okay? Anything that you get on this quiz that ends up being raised to a 0 power, just convert it to a 1. If x is raised to the 0 power, make it equal to 1. If you end up with 20 to the 0 power, that's equal to 1. Anything equal to the 0 power simplifies to a 1. Okay? If you have 3 bases that are the same, 13 to the 4th times 13 to the 11th times 13 to the 2nd, the rule stays the same. If all the bases are the same, then the base remains the same, and you just add the powers. So you got 4 plus 11 plus 2 more. So 4 plus 11 is 15, plus 2 more is 17. Okay, and then it progresses to a constant with a variable. So if you have 5y to the negative 4th times 3y to the 5th. In this case, the constant is a 5 and a 3, and you have to multiply the 5 times the 3. So 5 times 3 is 15. And now you're going to treat your variables the same way that you did before, or you're going to treat your bases the same as you did before. So you're going to have y to the negative 4 plus 5. So this simplifies to 15 y to the 1st. But have you guys ever seen a variable or a number raised to the 1st power? You haven't. So that 1 isn't written, it is implied. So it won't be there as an answer choice. So this is 15 times y. Yes, sir. All right. 9x to the negative 7th times 4x to the 9th. Same concept. You take the 9 times the 4, which is 36. You've got an x to the negative 7th times an x to the 9th. That's going to be x to the negative 7 plus 9. And I tell you what, change this x to the 9th right here, please, to an x to the 5th. And then we're going to change it right here as negative 7 plus 5. And please pay attention, this is real important. When I put an asterisk, that means real important. Alright, so this ends up equaling 36x. Negative 7 plus 5 is negative 2. The way you will see this in simplest form, an exponent is not in simplest form if it has a negative power. So what this becomes equal to, this 36 is raised to the first power. So it stays in the numerator. This x to the negative 2nd moves to the denominator and becomes a positive power. So when you're simplifying radicals, do not pick an answer that has a negative power. Okay? If you do the problem and you come up with a negative power, move it to the denominator and make the power positive. Don't forget that. You've got 3 problems on your study guide where you're going to be multiplying numbers that are in scientific notation. So 4 times 10 to the 6th is in scientific notation. And it's got to get multiplied by 6 times 10 to the 6 times 10 to the 5th. So here's how you do these. We cover these on Monday. The first thing you do is 4 times 6, and it goes right here. And 4 times 6 is 24. This times sign just comes along. The base 10 comes along. And then you add these two powers together, the 6 and the 5. So you got 24 times 10 to the 11th. Now you have to write your answer in scientific notation. And in scientific notation, this first number has to be between 1 and 9, greater than or equal to 1 or less than 10. So this is a 24 right now. This decimal place in the 24 has to get moved over 1 place. So you've got the number 24, and you're going to rewrite it as 2.4 times 10. Now, do you see this 24? We rewrote it as a 2.4. So we made it smaller, right? So if you make the first number smaller, you have to make the power bigger. So we made this smaller by moving the decimal 1 place. So this power has to get increased by 1. That's your answer in scientific notation. I'm going to do one more of those. 3 times 10 to the 5th. And that's getting multiplied by 5 times 10 to the negative 8th. The first step is just to multiply. So your 3 times your 5 is 15 times 10. And you're going to add these powers. So 5 plus negative 8 is negative 3. Now this 15 right here is not, it's too big for this number to be written in scientific notation. So this 15 has to get written as a 1.5. So 1.5 times 10. Now be careful here. This 15 got made smaller by 1 decimal place. So the power has to get increased by 1 number, or by a power of 10. So this becomes negative 2. Very good.
How would that become negative 2?
Because negative 2 is bigger than negative 3 on the number line.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're going that direction.
And
So
you would only move it 1 up.
you're only going to move it once because you only move this decimal once.
Oh, okay, now I understand that.
Okay, and then the last problem is a word problem where it says that a large trucking company delivered some, let's see, 8.5 times 10 to the 4th power tons of goods with an average value of 28,000 per ton. What was the total value of goods delivered? Right answer in scientific notation. So if a company delivered this amount of tons of food with this value per ton, okay? They're asking for the total value of goods delivered. So these two numbers have to be multiplied. All right? And they're both really big numbers. So before you multiply them, you have to take this 28,000 and convert it to scientific notation. So this 28,000 has to be written as 2.8 times 10. Now you move the decimal 4 places here. So this is 10 to the 4th. So the problem left now is 8.5 times 10 to the 4th multiplied by 2.8 times 10 to the 4th. So your 8.5 times 2.8, 23.8 times 10, and remember you got to add these two 4s, so that's 10 to the 8th. This first number is a little bit too big, so this decimal's got to get moved over 1 place. So this becomes 2.38 times 10. This number got made smaller by 1 decimal place. So the power has to get larger by 1 power of 10. So that becomes 10 to the 9th. There's your total cost of goods shipped in scientific notation.